In the previous video, we talked about the implementation of the EDHECinfra roadmap for the creation of risk-adjusted benchmarks of private infrastructure investments. In this video, we focus on the approach taken to collect data. We discuss which data we collect and how we structure it to build a global database. Collecting private infrastructure investment data poses several challenges. Most data are private and scattered amongst investors and creditors. Infrastructure investments can seem very heterogeneous, and the relevant data difficult to aggregate and compare. The information is not categorized by major risk factors, even though these are the categories that are most likely to explain the cross-section of returns. For instance, two otherwise similar roads have very different business models if one collects tolls and the other receives a contracted income from the government. In collecting data about private infrastructure investments, we follow four basic principles. The financial instruments used to invest in infrastructure must be well defined. These data must be based on best-in-class models of financial performance. The required data must already exist and be sufficiently standard to be observable on a large scale. And it must be limited to only the key data points to keep the collection process efficient and realistic. In the EDHECinfra framework, there are two main types of data we need to collect: cash flows and events. We give each of these data points a set of attributes. Physical attributes, such as size, capacity, location, or technology. And business model attributes, such as type of contract or tariff regulation. Financial structure, or guarantees provided by third parties. What makes infrastructure investable is a set of financial instruments, so we also need to collect this data. These instruments also have their own attributes, such as fixed or variable rate payoffs, face value, or covenants. All of this information must be understood dynamically. It can change in time, and it should be collected in a way that can reflect these changes. For example, an infrastructure project might change its business model attributes as regulation changes, or its offtake contract expires. For each point in time, we collect both realized and forecast data. As the observer moves forward in time, this information is updated. Because of the long-term nature of infrastructure investments, a dual time frame is required, capturing both occurrence and observation time.
I'm more interested in data quality than quantity. So to build a global database of private infrastructure investments, we first need to establish a population of investable infrastructure firms in each of the countries we want to study. These can be project companies, utilities, or port and airport companies, for example. To build a representative sample of each market, each firm has to be given a minimum set of physical and business model attributes, such as firm size and sector, as well as revenue risk profile, financial structure, or regulatory framework. Now we can sample from this population and create a representative set by size, vintage, business model, etc., for which we also know that good quality data can be obtained. Next, we collect the financial data for the selected firms. Contributors to the EDHECinfra platform provide us with important information about some of these investments. We also get information from audited accounts or freedom of information requests. We read each statement of account in each year of the life of each firm. It is a labour-intensive process, requiring a wide range of skills of the EDHECinfra team. But thanks to this work, we are building a high-quality dataset that will make all the difference in the long term.
In 2016, EDHECinfra is publishing a set of guidelines for collecting data about infrastructure investments. These guidelines highlight the need to collect data reported at the underlying firm level, to focus on standardized events and cash flow items, to report data using a dual time frame, to categorize data according to a limited set of attributes, and to record and document individual financial instruments. With the framework in place for reporting, aggregating, and analyzing infrastructure investment, EDHECinfra is building the global database that will be used to deliver benchmarks for long-term investors in infrastructure.